evening. You all know what to do while meditating. Just close your eyes and concentrate on your breaths or on a singular point. Please slowly come out from your meditation. Namaste, everybody. First of all, I will narrate two stories. Once upon a time, there was a king, and one day he announced that I have set up a very huge, very big tent, miles long possibly. And anyone who actually comes through, walking through that tent before sunset to my throne, that person will have my kingdom. Now that king had set up a huge tent. So people from early in the morning started to actually enter into the tent. But as they were actually passing through, they looked around and they saw so many things. There were different kind of food stalls. And there were people who were tempting them to visit their food stall. So some people would just stay there and have some food. And as they were going ahead, there were some places for entertainment. There were swimming pools. And sometimes when they entered, there was a red carpet. After a while, the road was like muddy, full of thorn and stones. By the midday, the crowd was reduced to nearly half because some people just stayed in the swimming pool, some went for some entertainment, some remained near the food stalls, and then there were resting places with luxurious beds. And somebody would thought that, okay, fine, let us have some rest and then we will go ahead. And after that, there would be beautiful women and handsome men. So some people just stayed there. When sun set, no one reached the king's throne. Everyone was diverted. Everyone has taken the route, and nobody reached there. So one person asked the king, were you not scared or afraid of somebody taking away your throne or your kingdom? The king said, no, because I know the human nature. This is one story. The second story is about the renowned sage Shukdev. Shukdev was the son of Vedvyasa, Maharshi Vedvyas, who had divided Vedas, written Brahma Sutras, and also so many Purans, like Bhagavad Puran. When his son was born, Shukdev, he did not want to stay in this world. He wanted to go away and wanted to do some sadhana to attain the ultimate reality. So Vyas Muni, sage Vedvyas, told him, okay, fine, you may leave, but go and see the king Janak and make him as your guru. So Shukdev laughed. He said, King Janak is a household person, midst of so many luxuries. He had 700 wives, in the entire kingdom, and army, and all the servants, and gold, and food. He actually is absolutely in the midst of all luxuries and worldly things. Why would you ask me to go and make him my guru? Sage Vedya said, just go there, you will figure out, you will find out. So Shukdev went there, and there was a gatekeeper, a security guard standing outside the palace, and he said, you can't go in. So he requested that my father, Maharshi Vedvyas, asked me to come here. So that security guard went to the king, Janak, and informed him that Shukdev is waiting outside. So King Janak told him something. And that guard came back and said to Shukdev, the king will see you, but there is a condition. This is the bowl full of oil. And he gave him a bowl full of oil. It was neck filled, entirely, totally filled with oil. And he said, you have to hold this bowl and you have to walk through this passage to the king. But if any single drop fell on the floor from that bowl of oil, king has asked me to behead you, to cut your head off. So be careful. Now there were two guards by Shukdev, and he was holding this bowl full of oil. He is walking through that passage, absolutely focused, so not to spill any oil from that bowl. And after a while, he reached there. He was relieved. Then King Janak asked him, while you were actually holding this bowl and coming through that passage, what things have you noticed? Shukdev said nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Janak said, a beautiful palace there, so many ornaments, the dancers, the singers, and so many things around you were there while you were walking through that passage. Shukdev said, I had seen nothing at all because my mind was absolutely focused on this bowl to save my life. Now, these are two stories. What do we learn about human nature? Human nature is lukewarm. Like the first story, people had set the goal. People wanted to gain the kingdom. And they also started on that path. But nobody reached there. We do not have one-pointed attitude, one-pointed focus on anything. There is no flat line in our human nature. Human nature is like a cardiogram. Goes up and down, comes down. And that is why what happens? Even though people would have fixed the goals, people would have known what they wanted to do. And also they were trying to do that. But still, they cannot achieve the goal they have set up in their mind when they have started their journey. It's like a dog. If you are walking a dog and sometimes try to actually tie a pedometer on dog's leg, and then you also have your mobile phone with you, so it will track your steps. So after you finish your walking, you can see that you have walked about 10,000 steps. Now check a dog speedometer. You have walked, say, 3 miles. The dog would have walked or run 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 miles because the dog would not leave any avenues of the main road unattended. This is our human nature. Human nature is always lukewarm. And that is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchit yatati siddhaye. What does it mean? Out of hundreds of thousands of people, of human beings, they are trying to achieve something. They're trying to gain some kind of siddhi, achievement. And out of those people who are trying to achieve some kind of siddhi or achievement, spiritual achievements, rarely, Krishna says rarely, someone would know the ultimate reality, tattvataha, in truth, the real ultimate reality. Because human nature is lukewarm. And you know that lukewarm water does not vaporize. Lukewarm water does not freeze. It remains lukewarm in the middle without achieving any kind of things. In this spirituality, people understand the principle about the oneness. There's only one. We know that there's nothing to achieve because you are what you are and you are that. Tattvamasi. You are the ultimate. There's no one beyond you. There's no one higher than you because there is no other. When someone says that there is no one beyond you or no one is higher than you, that does not mean that it is a superiority complex. Because there is no other, there's only one. There's only one ultimate reality element. People call it Brahma or God or whatever. But end of the day, there's only one. And that is why there isn't anything or anyone beyond you or higher than you. So people actually know that when they are traveling on this journey of oneness, of non-duality, aspirants, they know that. They have knowledge. But still, when we enter into that tent, and there would be so many things around, we will think about the astral travel. We will think about the out-of-body experience. There would be so many rituals and so many techniques to awaken your kundalini, how to raise your chakras. And somebody would say there are 3 chakras or 5 chakras or 7 chakras or 9 chakras. Some say 15 chakras, some say 1,000 chakras. So how to actually open them? And there would be hundreds and hundreds of techniques there to open your chakras and open the kundalini. And then there would be voices heard in your head from different kind of angels and farishta and messiah and gods and goddesses. There would be ideas of how to cultivate virtues, how to become, excuse me, how to cultivate virtues, how to become more compassionate, kind, generous, soft. All these ideas and all these avenues are nothing but the diversions. And we visit them. Why do we visit them? Because even though we believe in oneness, even though we think and we know with the virtue of knowledge that there's only one, but still it's our human nature, lukewarm. Just like a cardiogram. It doesn't stay on the flat line, goes up and comes down. And that is why Krishna mentioned that. And that is why after a while, after so many years, end of the day, you would think that, what did I achieve? What was the purpose of all this journey? If we understand that our nature is lukewarm, and it should be not lukewarm, it should be a flat line and not a cardiogram, then we can stay on the path. Just like Shukdev, without looking towards anyone, towards anything, without browsing any kind of avenues of the main road, because there's nothing to achieve. There's nothing to attain, because you are that. You are that ultimate reality. Everyone is the ultimate reality. No one is beyond you. No one is beyond anyone, because there is no other. Thank you very much. So this was today's topic about human nature, which is normally lukewarm. But if it turns into either freezing point or boiling point, then and only then one will achieve the result, or one will realize the self, the ultimate reality. Thank you. If anyone wants to share their wisdom or enhance the topic or even add something, please do so.
Yes. Namaste, Vijayji.
Namaste.
Yes. It's a very, very wonderful topic, very eye-opening. The way you have shared about the distractions that we find on a path. So we should never get distracted and we should be more focused. And I really like the stories, the metaphors, they are very important. And ultimately, there is nothing to achieve. It's just that we have to realize that we are we are already there. I mean, like, there is nothing, nowhere to go and nothing to achieve. That's the ultimate reality. And there is nobody who is beyond us. Everything is us. So beautifully said, Vijayji. And very eye-opening session, very important for everybody to know this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So friends, if there is anybody who wants to share your views or your experience, please, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Lingeshwari ji, please go ahead.
Sairam, Namaskaram to everyone. Namaskaram to our masters here. I wanted to say the meditation was beautiful. I wanted to say if there's nothing for us to achieve, then why are we coming here to this world?
To this world, you said. It's a very good question, actually, isn't it? If there is nothing to achieve,
Yes,
then why are we here?
exactly.
Now, there are two meanings of that question I think I can understand by. One is, why are we here in this group to meditate upon? Or why are we here in this world as a human being?
Yes, why are we in this world?
Right. Because what we see here is nothing but a game. This question was asked since centuries, since ages. Like the first question was asked in the Upanishad. And the Upanishad, it says that, and I'm not saying that one needs to follow that. I'm just giving the hint that this question was answered in which way. In Upanishad, it says about this ultimate reality, the Param Tattva, or you can call him Brahma or God, whatever, is the ultimate reality. And the story goes like this, or the metaphor goes like this, that he thought, and then he did not like to stay alone. He means the ultimate reality. Here, he doesn't actually represent any gender as male or female. Because in Sanskrit, that Atman is a masculine gender. That is why they use the word he. So he thought, and he did not like to stay alone. And then he decided, or he inspired, that I am one and let me be many. Now, the entire game, and that is why people say, people who know, they say that there's only one. This entire show of this world, or the universe, or the galaxies, whatever we can perceive and we can imagine about, is nothing but a game, nothing but a show. And it shows, happens like this. The ultimate reality itself appears as many. So you can imagine about one giant fabric, or say about ocean. It's a very vast ocean. And when ocean temperature goes down, all the ocean drops are freezing and they froze and they become kind of a tube or a round figure. It's ice cube, we can say. And when the temperature goes up, it emerges back to the water. And there remains nothing else apart from the water which was before. So the people who have realized, they say that this is like a show, and the ultimate reality itself is appearing as so many individual entities like you and me and animals and insects and trees and everything. To realize that you are that person or that reality or that entity which itself appeared as many. That is the only goal of the human being. Otherwise, there is nothing to achieve, there is nothing to realize. The only thing one has to realize that you are that. But then you will ask, why do I not remember that? Why have I forgotten that? Because if I am appearing as many, then why have I forgotten that? And why have to actually try something like meditation or try some sadhana or endurance to recall what I was? So the answer about that, when you have a game show, for example, if you're inventing a game, say cricket or football or any game. So we set up some rules and one is to follow, or everyone is to follow those rules to play properly. So one of the most fundamental rules of this game is forgetting. In Bhagavatam, it is clearly mentioned about Vismruti. Vismruti means forgetting. So, because if you knew what you are or who you are, then there is the end of the game. Nobody would be participating in the game. Nobody would be doing any actions, any karmas, and then it's end of story. So what is the point of all this creation? What is the point of all this game? So the fundamental rule is to forget what you were or what you are. The rule of that game. This entire universe, entire creation is nothing but a show, or nothing but a game. And that is why we say that there's nothing to achieve. It's only to realize that this is just a show. This is just a game that you have started. Everyone has started. And just to realize that, but it is very difficult to realize. Because even if I said this thing, emotions, the entire human structure or the structure of the universe, they will actually, every second, they will force us to forget. Emotion will take our control. And even though we know that everyone will have to die one day, and that is the rule, without being spiritual or non-spiritual, that we can experience that people die. There is nobody beyond the age of 120 or 110, whatever. People have to die. This is the life. And every time, whatever we see happening would happen. But still, we get carried away with emotions. People cry, people feel sad, somebody even commits suicide because they have lost their loved ones. So all these things are there, even though the entire scenario, entire setup is like that. It will force us to forget what we are and who we are. And that is the reason the show is going on. Otherwise, just one creation of one universe and end of story, because everybody would know that, well, this is what I have created and I am that. So the answer to your question, that why are we here as human beings, just a part of a game and nothing else. And that is why this creation is purposeless. There is no purpose in this life or any time, because it's just a game. Now Shakespeare had put it just like this, differently. I think Shakespeare or Bernard Shaw, I'm not pretty sure, that this is the game, this is a show, and one is to act according to show, and one is to know when the curtains are rolling down. So whatever we do, whatever anyone does, nothing changes. It remains the same because this is the game. And that is why whenever we listen to the people, we have realized or we actually read the scriptures, they always say that there's nothing to achieve. Just live your life peacefully or with virtues. Or somebody would say, do not even bother about that because you are that. And we can see that throughout ages, throughout our history, even for a very short history of human beings, you always see that there is no point in any point, just a game. I know it sounds very, very pessimistic, very, very negative in that sense, that if there is no purpose in life, then what is the point of life? Because when we say the life is purposeless, there's no point of life at all, then what's the point behind to create all this? There's no point. It's only a game. It's like we play the game, we enjoy the game, either we lose or either we win, we enjoy the game, end of story, and then we start again, new game. We also know that the cricketers who are running or chasing the ball, or the footballers who are kicking the balls, what's the point? It's only a game, nothing else. Just like our human life.
Thank you, Vijayji. This is Varna.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, beautifully you explained that this life is a game. Yeah, even if we see from beginning to now, realistically, like we had all different goals, and now we have come to this spirituality, and now we set a goal, but after some time, what is the point, right? Working, it's like we have accumulated enough. Then what is the point? Then we don't feel like working, and so everything is going to end one day. The ultimate is like we have to be happy and keep our surroundings happy, uh, mm, without expectations, and and just live our happy life, whatever we have why we have come here. We just have to complete without any expectations and with happiness. I think that is the goal, ultimate goal, I guess. So yeah, thank you very much. You have really, really expressed that point. So we can remind ourselves and a little bit remember in our head a little longer. Thank you very much, Vijayji.
Thank you. That's right, you're right, Sonaji. Balaji is saying that yes, we need to act our part and depart on this stage of earth. And you are right, because even though we do not want to, say for example, if somebody says that that person doesn't want to act his or her part, but that will not happen. But that's also a part of the game. That you will do whatever you are destined to do. And somebody would say, if there is no point of anything, then I will withdraw myself from this world, but it will not even be possible. Because you will do whatever you are destined to do. And there is no escape from that. So
Right, Vijayji. Even the gods, this rain god, or all the gods we have, they also go because they do upasana on those items during meditation, and they become that, and they wanted to come back to a human life after they become those gods. So the desire is always there, as you said, and we are trying to be one with the universe. And I think over the time, after all the experiences, I think we become that one with the universe. But the desire is always there with everyone, with the gods that we are calling. So, yeah, thank you very much, Vijayji.
You have mentioned about gods, but I beg to differ from that point. All the gods we are talking about, like rain god or sun god or whatever god, they are nothing but the imagination and the fabricated creation of our mind. If you have studied the human nature, then you can see that we always have this society in order. For example, there is the prime minister and there is a cabinet and there are ministers there. Under there are all the civil servants and the junior civil servants, and then the local councils, local governments, and they actually run the show, and then all the other laymen, people, ordinary people, or the population. And this is the hierarchy we have set up in the society to run this country or to run the village or town or our society in order. Similarly, we have set up this kind of order for the universe or the galaxy or this creation, that there is a God sitting on the throne. And somebody would not believe that, then they would say, okay, there is no throne, but still there is a God who is monitoring and observing and watching us over and deciding our fate about karmas, what we do, and giving us the either punishment or the rewards of heaven or punishment of hell. And then there will be some kind of demigods, like this Brahmand or this universe had three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, according to Hinduism or Hindu myths, I would say. And somebody would say, no, there was Abraham there. For example, in Judaism and Christianity, Abraham is there and the God is sitting. God, Jehovah is there and sitting in his throne and deciding the fate of these poor human beings on this earth. This is our imagination. This is our mind's imagination, because we have set up this kind of society to run the society, to run this show on this earth or in this village or town or country. And we think that there would be some God sitting there up in the sky, but there is no sky, there is no up, there is no down, because whatever is up today and now at 6 o'clock, that would be down tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. There's no up, there's no down. And there is nobody is observing you. Nobody is watching over you or anybody. Nobody is writing down our deeds, our karmas, our actions. All this is just like we believe that because that's exactly what we do on this earth, in my town, in my city, in my administration. So it should be the same case. It is not like that. It's only our imagination. And that is why I have mentioned about a few things in this topic about raising the chakras and awakening the kundalini.
Yeah, you.
And the astral travel and all out of body experience. This is nothing but the imagination of our mind. There is no other.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, perfectly you mentioned. It's Prakriti and Purusha, right? So all the Prakriti is the imagination and the Purusha, whatever the Upanishad says, the ultimate one, the truth. That is the only one, and everything is created, and that's all delusion. So thank you very much. Yeah, even one thing I found, like we feel like we are so lucky people, or somebody's going to help and lift us up. Nobody's going to come and lift us up. Just we have to lift ourselves and try to be happy, and no luck at all. Whatever we have done, good and bad, that is coming as luck and bad luck. So it is us, just us. So I just sometimes, with our illusionary mind and with the beliefs, we say, oh, they are so lucky, or oh, I wish somebody can come and call me something. No, it's just going to happen. But it's just you become that. You become a lucky fellow. You become that person, whatever you want, and what happiness you want, that brings to you. So everything is within us. So thank you, Vijayji. I will stop now and perfectly said.
Thank you. Raksha wants to share something. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Vijayji, for the sharing. Like as I always felt like there is always only one. That is the way it could all be. It all fits in. But then you still have these questions when you have gurus. You feel like there are gurus helping you, and you read these books from about Vivekananda or something, and it even uplifts you to like another level, like even reading books like Upanishads. And we these I mean has even as I was trying to understand Katha Upanishad and all, like there was such a feeling that I was being with being blessed with powers which are not mine. So do you say even this is a imagination? And if that is the case, is it like our mind is going from physical imagination to slowly towards as we try to understand everything is one, uh, we think masters are helping us, like even in the meditation you're having visions, you're getting connected to people whom you have heard about and all that. So is that our imagination going from heavier things to lighter things so that it leads us there? So is everything imagination? And does it have a pattern, like initially you are tied up with the emotions, like husband, wife, mother, father, and when you are relieved of it, then you go to imagination of gurus, uh, wisdoms, uh, about thinking about masters and all that. Is that how it is, like as if we are taking steps?
We are not taking steps, actually. We are switching steps. I always say sometimes that, say for example, on this earth, whoever first ever realized herself or himself, man or woman, anyone, first time ever. So who was their guru? Because if you say there was a guru who actually make him or her to realize themselves, then what about that guru who has ever, first time ever realized about his ultimate reality? Who was his guru then? So there is kind of ad infinitum. And end of the day, there's no answer. It's like, what is first, chicken or egg? So when we actually switching from the physical or the, you can say, mundane desires or attachment to the subtle or lighter or emotional attachment, attachment is still there. If somebody is attached with his wife or her husband or their children or with anything, for example, and they decide to, and they actually manage to detach from their loved ones and attach their attention to, say, any Godhead figure, attachment is still there. It is the attachment that is prohibiting people to go into void. And that is why when you actually, there's nothing wrong in listening to or reading any books or listening to anybody. There's nothing wrong there. Only time when we actually divert from our path, because we sometimes we do not know what the person is going to say about or what the book is going to reveal about, and then we may divert ourselves to one other things which is not on the path of the oneness. So there's nothing wrong in reading or listening to anything. But then again, when we want to realize, the only way is the silence. Now there was a person went to Raman Maharshi and he just asked him to explain about this sakshatkar or realization and all these spiritual things. Raman Maharshi just told him, be quiet, sit in silence. Because when we do not have any noises going physically around or in our mind as well, in mind is our imagination. Physically is from around the world. When there are no noises, physically or mentally, and when there is absolute silence, then whatever is there would be revealed. And that is why those people who have realized always say that you are that. Why it is said everywhere? Tatvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that. Or Jesus said, no, thyself. Why it is that? Because there's nothing to be revealed. It's already there. But because of all these physical and mental noises, we cannot hear or we cannot see, we cannot experience the reality. Because of all so many experiences even in our mind and in our body, we are unable to perceive the reality. That is yourself. And physical disturbances we can remove, like just shut the door, stay inside, or even make your room soundproof. Physically we can do that. Mind would still be there. George Kafka, a Russian spiritualist, when somebody he was like a hermitage. And when somebody would visit him for some kind of guidance in spirituality, what he would do, he would ask that person to lock himself or herself inside a room, and he would lock the room from outside. And there would be a little window, little opening. And then he would say, you start drinking whiskey or vodka. So that person would start drinking whiskey or vodka until that person would lose their senses. And then Kafka would actually observe that person, what that person is doing, what he is speaking. Because when you do not have your senses in your control, it's just like hypnotism, just like giving you narcotic drugs for the truth. Whatever is hidden, or whatever you have actually hidden in your mind because of the these etiquettes of the society, will come out. So Kafka would know the real personality of that person, and then accordingly he would ask him to do whatever he wanted that person to do for spiritual sadhana or spiritual endurance. Why is that? Because we have so many imaginations in our mind. We always are switching one to another. And we think that it is, I have seen some kind of vision, or I have seen some kind of realization experienced, or I have heard some voices. But what do scientists say? Every minute, every single minute, our subconscious mind or brain, there is no such thing as mind. Mind is just a name given to brain's particular function. So subconscious brain processes 11 million bits every minute. We actually receive all this information through eyes and our ears and nose and skin and all five senses. Every single minute our senses receive 11 million bits of information. Now put it into perspective. 11 million bits per minute is nearly the information of 1,400 pages. That much information our brain receives every minute. And out of those many bits, our conscious brain can only process 50 bits, not even one sentence. For example, if you want to catch a bus, your brain is focused on that bus. I want to catch that bus. That is your conscious brain. But while you are running after that bus, your eyes see so many things in the wide angle. Your nose smells so many smells. And your skin, your cells of your skin are hit by the atmosphere, the air. It is not that they don't process anything. For example, I have just waved my hand. So my entire palm, fingers, they have felt the sensation of, say for example, cold or hot or some kind of air that went into my cells. And my cells will actually transfer that energy, that information to my brain. So your brain, subconscious brain, processes 1,400 pages every minute since we are born. So it's nearly, for example, if you are awake for say 14 hours a day, so it's more than 140,000 pages information every day. And say if you are 40 years old, then your subconscious brain had the storage of millions and billions of pages of information in your subconscious brain. And sometimes when you are meditating, when you are sitting in silence, or even you are dreaming, when you are sleeping, when you have a dream, all those information which went into our brain, sometimes they get short circuit and they create some kind of scenario, some kind of image. You would say, I have never ever seen that person in my life. Yes, your conscious brain hasn't seen that person in your life, but your subconscious brain did, which we do not know, which our conscious brain does not know. So it appears in the silence, in the dream state, in some kind of sequence, and then we think that, oh, I have a vision. I have heard that noise. I heard that voice. I have seen and so many things have gone into our mind, our brain, about gods and goddesses and scriptures and religion and spirituality and society and rituals and every single thing. Like if I'm watching television, then even though I'm only concentrating on what is being spoken and what is being played by those actors, my subconscious brain is getting so much detailed information every minute. And in silence, when they start making some kind of a sequence, and then we say, in my dream, somebody, this God, this divinity, this angel appeared, and he told me this or that. But there is nothing but the imagination stored in our brain, which is making some kind of sense in silence. So when we go from physical to mental, it is not a step higher. Simply is a switching from one to other way, from gross to subtle. But in reality, the realization only lies in the silence. And that is why when you actually read any books of any spiritual books of Upanishad or even Western spiritualist or anybody, you always say that the ultimate reality is beyond mind and beyond speech. Speech is physical, mind is subtle, it's beyond that. Because it is only revealed when all the noises, all the experiences are silenced. So even though it seems good from switching from gross to subtle, but still it's only a different or other side of the coin. But still, the coin is the same.
Thank you. Thank you for making that clear, Vijayji, not to get attached to any kind of experiences or anything. That was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madhuji. You can now conclude the sessions.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijayji. Once again, very deep discussions, and it was very important. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So friends, we will all see each other again tomorrow. Till then, namaste.
Namaste, everybody.